Okay, everybody, welcome back to another problem in the world of mathematics. So now we're down to item 4-4. In 4-4, the figure that you see here is what figure is this? If your answer is a pyramid, you are deliberately correct. How can you say that it is a pyramid? Because look, you notice it's a pyramid because of triangles, right? Yes. But look at the base. You see that this is the base, right? Ano yung base? The base is a rectangle or a square. So therefore, this is deliberately a pyramid. Alright? A square pyramid. How can you tell that it's a square pyramid? By determining what the base is. Kaya nga you can determine what type of pyramid this figure is by looking at the base. And as you can see though, it's a square pyramid. Because this is 9.5 inches and there's an incongruent mark, it's also 9.5 inches. So either way works. Now let's go and solve for the surface area. To solve for the surface area, I gave you two answers here. You will have to give me the answer in inches squared and in feet squared. So here's how we're gonna do it. Diba remember what you call this? First of all, we need to convert that 1.8 feet into square inches. So ito yung ginawa ko. As you can see, to play Pythagorean theorem, we need to solve for the surface area. Actually, for the sake of volume, madali lang yan. Pero I'll show you ng volume later. I'll show you how to get the surface area. But in surface area, you need how many faces? Ilang faces na kukunin mo? 5. If your answer is 5, you are correct. Because you have one that pertains to the base, which is this guy. And then you have 4 triangles. Because remember the triangles, the pinnacle meet at the pointy top that you see there. So 1 triangle for each base of the square or rectangle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you already know the criteria, right? So now let's solve for the surface area. First, we can't solve for the surface area with this height. Remember the height is 1.8 feet, but that pertains to the literal height. The height that we're looking for when it comes to surface area is the lateral height. Yung nakaslant, that's the height that we're looking for. So how can we get the slanted height? That's why Pythagorean theorem is very crucial. So let's look at my formula. So ganito yung formula ko sa Pythagorean theorem. Yes. Diba remember it all started with? Ayaw pala, do you know 1.8 feet as you can see here? We need to convert that into inches. So ganito yung formula ko. 1 feet is 12 inches, diba? So 1.8 times 12, you should get 21.6 inches. Yun yung formula. Alright? So that's what I did here. Now for this one, you might be wondering why it's 9.5 inches, but this becomes 4.5. Kasi nga we're gonna play Pythagorean theorem, this needs to be converted into a right triangle. So we need to get half of this. And half of 9.5 is 4.75. So yun yung formula. Now all we need to do is to apply the Pythagorean theorem rules. You know already, I squared this one, and this one too, I also squared this. Tapos with that, sinam ko yung dalawa. Summation of the two to give you something like this. And then after that, I take the square root of that number. So you should get 22.11 as the height. Or 22.12 if I were to round that off. Kaya that's the height. The slanted height, alright? Now we can solve for the surface area. Mabilis lang to. For the surface area, you already know there are 5 faces. So what did I do first? First of all, I did the square. Squaring is very easy. So I did 9.5 squared, which gives me 90.25. And then the rest, you should get 105.0225. And how did I get that formula? You know what's the formula? They're all triangles, right? So first you get the area of the base, which is the square base. And then because it's a square prism, we know that every triangle, every base of every triangle must have the same length as the initial one, which is 9.5. So therefore, to get the area of every triangle, it's 9.5, which pertains to the base, times the height. Anong height na dapat kukunin namin? Hindi yung 1.8, which is the literal height. It's the lateral height. So therefore, it's supposed to be 9.5 times, ano yung lateral height na kinuha namin? 22.11. Diba remember that's the answer that we got here? Actually, I can just round that off, pero I'd still like to make it 22.1 na lang. 22.11. And then divide by 2, we should get this one. And continue doing that for all numbers Or you can do that and multiply that by 4. Para mas maikli. And then this one, yung total, sinam ko yung lahat ng summation of faces. And you should get 510.34 square inches. Yun yung surface area. But that pertains to square inches. Remember, we need to convert that to square feet. So how do you do that? You know the relationship, it's right here. 1 square foot is, remember 12 squared, 12 inches. Squaring it will give you 144 square inches. So if you have 510.34 square inches divided by 144, you should get, this is the answer, 35.4 square feet. Yun yung area, yun yung surface area ng pyramid in square feet. Now, to solve for the volume, maiksi lang yan. To solve for the volume of a pyramid, it's still the same just like what you did in prisms. Area of the base times the height. But, there's a slight catch. Your answer should be divided by 3. Why divide by 3? Because 1/3 of each of this can fill up an entire prism whose height is exactly the same. So therefore, what we did was 9.5 squared times the real height. That's where the literal height comes in handy for volume. Times 21.6. So ganito yun. Di ba remember ito yung formula ko? 9.5 squared. Ano ba yun? Hindi nyo na-focus? 9.5 squared times 21.6 divided by 3. And the answer that you should get is 649.8 cubic inches. Yun lang. And that's the answer. Now, let's go to 4-5. For item 4-5, we have a cylinder. So our goal is to solve for the surface area of a cylinder such that we need to get it in centimeters squared, meters, and then our volume should be in cubic meters. Teka, ano yung solution ko? And then centiliters. This is where liquefied unit comes in handy. But first, let's solve for the surface area of a cylinder. To solve for the surface area of a cylinder, ayan. We know this might be a bit tough, but to solve for the surface area of a cylinder, you need 3 faces. There are 3 faces. There are 2 faces because the circular bases are congruent. Tama? But the last face is the curved part. But to solve for the surface area of the curved part, which you see here, there's a specific formula to it. But first, let's solve for the surface area of the cylinder. Alright? Of the circles. So first of all, for circle 1, which you see here, ito yun. So we have 15 centimeters. So we need to convert that to the radius if you were to solve for the area. So therefore, it's pi times the radius squared. Remember the radius is 7.5. 3.14 times the radius squared, which is 7.5 squared. Alright? Then multiply that by 2 because there are 2 circles that are congruent. Here's what I mean. So yan, ito yung formula na ginawa ko. 3.14 times 7.5 squared. And you should get, what's the answer? 176.625. It's the same thing with this one again. Although I just made a catch there, it's 15 divided by 2, which will give you 7.5 if I were to perform the order of operations. But yet, this will still yield the same answer. And then for the height, ito na yung formula sa pagkukuha ng height. The area of the rectangular height. Remember, if I were to unfold this, if you take out these 2 circles and then unfold the curved part, diba? It's like a scroll. The scroll is formed like a sheet of paper, right? And then to determine the area, it's the pi times the diameter times h. Remember, diameter pertains to this one, right? Because if I were to unfold it, that forms a diameter. And then height, it's like the height of the paper or the scroll. Then we have to multiply that by pi because we're going around it. So ganito kasi yung nangyari. So what we did is 3.14 times 15 times 20 centimeters. Pi, so 15 times 20 ito, di ba? This is the height of the scroll and this is the length of the scroll. So 20 times 15 is 300. Tama? Then 300 times 3.14, we should get, ano yung sagot? 942. Then, what we do here, once we're done, we sum up everything up. And we should get, yan, the sum of everything, and we should get 1,295.25 square centimeters. But wait, we're still not yet done. Kasi po, we still need to solve for the volume. For volume, maiksi lang yan. To solve for the volume, ganito kasi yung mangyari. It's just like what you did with all prisms. Get the area of the base times the height. Maiksi lang yan. Pero, there's a slight catch. Do you know what's the catch? Because it's a circle, that's why if you go to other situations, it's pi times radius squared. That's the specific formula for solving for the volume of a cylinder. But in general, you know that general formula for solving for surface area of cylinders is area of the base times the height. But that's where the pi times r squared comes from. If you want to know where pi times r squared comes from, that's the area of the base. And what's the base? A circle. So pi times the radius squared is equivalent to the area of one circle. Alright? So ganito kasi yung nangyari. So diba remember this one? It's supposed to be ganito yun. It's AK43 times 20. So that's the one. Remember the first circle, that's the area of one circle. Then multiply it by the height, which is 20 centimeters. And you should get 3,532.5 cubic centimeters. Ayan, kasi po the answer that I want here is in meters squared. Pero I don't want to do that. I think let's make that centimeters na lang para slightly. So dapat centimeters squared na lang. That's the volume. And then, you're gonna have to convert that to centiliters. How will you convert that to centiliters? That's very easy. First, we know that 1 cubic cm, as you can see here, is equivalent to 1 ml. It's just that you're still using the same unit. Same number, same value, but change your unit. And then, 1 centiliter is 10 ml. So what I did, I get the volume, then divide by 10. So tama, the volume of the cylinder in centiliters, in liquefied units by centiliters to be specific, is 353.25 centiliters. And there we have it. That's our answer. That's it.